And just to kind of bring you guys back in, so this next session is going to be very interactive. So we did our opening ceremony, which was so high energy. We had some conscious rapping in there. Then we went to a meditation. We did some expanding your vision. And then we talked about crafting your message. So now we're going to move into a conscious leadership talk with Stephanie Dickinson, and there will be some interactivity here. She is a conscious relating expert. She's an authentic relating facilitator, and she's one of my close friends. She's an international mindfulness mentor, and she's a master with emotional intelligence and relational connection. And her superpower is helping people increase their emotional connection and create rich and rewarding relationships. So with that, Stephanie, welcome to Emergence Festival.
Thank you so much. Can you see this huge smile on my face? I'm so happy to be here. And just coming into the room, there's so much energy. Woo, high vibes. And I was just scrolling through and seeing you guys, and some of you I know, and I've worked with you before, and I've seen you at my workshops before. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being at Emergence. There's some new faces. Welcome to you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Chelsea. Huge thank you to you for putting this on. I'm so happy to be a part of it as well. So thank you for that introduction. Yeah, I am teaching authentic relating. I facilitate that here in Bali. That's where I am right now. That's why it's so bright in this room. Lots of light coming in. So I'm here in Bali, and I also share authentic relating online, which is where I think I know quite a few of you from. So today what we're going to be doing is talking about authentic relating, and the principles are 5 main principles of authentic relating. And really what they're there for is to create better relationships. It creates a better relationship with yourself, with anyone else, whether that's like a family member, a partner, a lover, and also in your professional relationships. So what we're going to do today is take all of those principles and work with them so that you're benefiting on the personal level and your relationships are benefiting. And we're going to take it to that next step and talk about leadership as well. How can you take these authentic relating practices and really put them in place in your work, in your mission on this planet, in your community, so that you're really leading, not only leading your personal relationships, but leading your professional ones and your community relationships, your global relationships, with that kind of conscious high vibe energy. So we're going to go through the practices, because a huge part of what authentic relating is not just something you hear about and take in on like the mental body level. It's really about embodying it. It's about practicing it. It's about feeling it for yourself, feeling it in your body, and then sharing that and even transmitting that energy into your relationships. So we're actually going to dive in right now with the first practice of authentic relating. So what we want to do is close your eyes. You're welcome to close your eyes if it feels good. If it doesn't, you can leave them open and just have a soft gaze. We're going to take a few moments right now just to connect to yourself. Right here, right now. You've been taking in a lot of information and energy. There's been a lot exchanged so far today. We're going to take these moments to integrate some of that. And take this time to really be with you. Give yourself 110% of your attention right now. Notice what's happening in your physical body. Maybe notice the temperature in the room. Is your body warm? Is your body cool? How does it feel to be sitting where you are? Feel like that chair beneath you or behind you? What does that feel like? And witness what's happening within you. Different feelings and emotions might be moving through you. Just noticing that they're there. Doing your best not to judge them as good, bad, positive, negative. Just noticing what's there right now. And noticing that it might quickly shift to something different. And with your eyes still closed, taking some full, deep breaths, really expanding your lungs, taking in lots of that energy, that air, that prana, really filling yourself up, and then letting it go out through your mouth with a sound or a sigh. And again, with your eyes still closed, if they're closed, another big breath in. And let it all go out through your mouth. I invite you to move your body right now as it likes to be moved. If it wants to stretch or sway or wiggle or shake, this is the time to do that. Let your body lead you right now. Keeping your body, giving yourself some attention. And stay connected to what's happening in your body. Stay connected to your physical experience, your emotional experience, maybe even that mental experience if there's some chatter going on, some different voices popping in your head, a to-do list, anything like that. Just notice it's there. And then slowly open your eyes. Take a look around the room you're in. Noticing the space, the physical space around you, taking it in with your eyes. And then when you're ready, you can bring your attention back to the screen, back to this group. And I invite you to turn your video on and let people see you. So a huge piece of authentic relating and the art of relating is really to be seen. It's to see others authentically and to be seen authentically. And this definitely feels authentic. A lot of us are sitting in our homes right now, being ourselves. So I want you to go through and look screen by screen and look at each person who's here right now. Maybe imagine you're making eye contact. Maybe people you know, maybe people you don't know at all. But just go through and know that as you are looking at the others here, that they are looking at you and that you're also being seen and witnessed. And notice as you do this, how you feel. How do you feel in your body, in yourself, as you look at these other beings in this space, making eye contact, virtual eye contact with each other? What does that bring up inside of you? And I'm going to invite all of us to share in the chat box what's coming up for us right now. And the way we want to do this is not so much the story of what's there, but we're going to break it down like the building blocks of what's there. So what physically is happening in your body right now? So that's going to be the first thing. And I know this might be a little bit strange, not the way we normally share how we are, what's going on for us, but physically what's happening. So as I'm looking at you guys right now, I'm going to say what physically happens in my body or energetically is happening. So it could be like a sensation I notice. So actually for me, when I look at all of you, I feel a sense of calm and warmth, and I feel it in my chest and my heart area. And I notice I'm breathing more deeply and slowly. I feel a sense of connection. And I feel that in my heart and my chest. I'm also noticing physically that my feet feel more grounded on the floor, even though they weren't touching the floor. And I'm checking what you guys are writing here in the chat box. So what physically happens inside you when you look at these others that we're sharing this collective with, this space with? What comes up inside of you? It might be tingles, it might be this fluttery feeling in your stomach that we might call nervousness or excitement. It could be like warmth or coolness. So anything like that, I invite you to share that in the chat box right now. This is our first practice, continuation of that first practice, connecting to ourselves. And the next step is to reveal what's happening inside of ourselves. So much of the time, we keep this hidden away. So much of the time, we don't tell anyone actually what's happening inside of us. We might just go with the programmed answer of, yeah, I'm fine, it's all right, things are getting better, and just leave it at that. We might not reveal what's really alive. And that could be in our physical bodies, that could be what's happening in us emotionally or mentally, and we just keep that in. And in this space, we want to bring that out. We want to reveal what's really inside. We want to be authentic in our expression. And then the next step, as you're looking at each other, yeah, I'm seeing some of you are feeling a lot of warmth, feeling mellow. Good. Go ahead and take a moment now just to close your eyes once more. So taking your energy away from the group and pulling it back fully into yourself. If it helps, you can close your eyes. Just taking note of how you feel right now. We're really slowing down, and we're doing this intentionally. A lot of life is quite rushed, moves at a really fast pace. We want to slow down and give ourselves the space, the time, and the attention that we really deserve. What you're feeling, what's happening inside of you matters. All right, and with your eyes still closed, take in a full breath. And let it go out through your mouth, really releasing it, letting out with a sound or a sigh. Then really slowly bringing your awareness back to the group space. Still staying connected to what's happening inside of you. We're going to be doing this a few times throughout the next 45 minutes. We'll be with the group as we're with ourselves. And as we do that, it gives you an opportunity to notice if you have a tendency to be with one over the other. Quite a few people have a tendency to overextend and overgive themselves to other people, giving more of their attention, more of their energy to others, and neglecting themselves in the process. What we want to do here today is stay fully connected to ourselves and what's happening inside of us as we connect with someone, whether that's one-on-one, in a small group, or the whole group right here. So throughout the whole next 45 minutes, I invite you just to notice that anytime you're talking to someone else, maybe you have a little reminder that goes off inside that's like, ooh, how am I feeling with this person right now? How do I feel inside myself? What's happening inside of me as I look at this person, or I talk to this person, or I share something personal? So that invitation is here the whole time. Stay with yourself as you stay with other people. Okay. So now I really want to hear from you about what brings you to this festival. What brings you to something like Emergence? So you all chose to be here. You all chose to be here right now in this workshop. And I want to know, what would you love? Like what brings you here? What are you passionate? What do you care about in your life that brings you here today? What is important to you that would bring you to this festival? And even specifically, what brings you here to this workshop today on conscious relating and conscious leadership? And I would love to see that in the chat box, if you could share here. What's so important to you in your life that brings you here today? What is important to you that brings you here today? Put that in the chat box so I can hear from you and hear what matters to you. I'm seeing a lot of tribe, community, connection, connecting, conscious community, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Yeah, giving back, sharing, healing, solidifying your goals, looking for community and fulfillment. I hope you find that here. Absolutely. Beautiful. A way to take care of yourself, give compassion and care to yourself. Learning from expanders. I love that. Yes. Yeah, we are here to learn from each other. We're here to share and learn from each other. Absolutely. That is what this community is about, 100%. Connecting with more people. Good. Yeah, great. Okay. Yes, to all of us. It definitely sounds like you're in the right place. Beautiful. So we're going to have a bit of a focus today on leadership. So I think quite a few of you have already done some conscious relating practices with me, and sometimes we focus on just them. Today we're actually focusing on the practice, but we're going to be applying it into the category of leadership. The truth is, when it comes to authentic relating, it works for you and you alone with your relationship with yourself. It works for you in any of your relationships, and it also works for your leadership relationships. That could be what you do for your work. That can be what you do as a side project that you're really excited about. Can be like your purpose in life, your soul purpose, your mission on this planet, but it gives you a space to really embody and apply the authentic relating practices. We've already started doing some of them, and we're going to continue on. But in the next form, we're going to be doing this in breakout rooms. So you'll have a chance to connect with some people here in the community. So obviously a lot of you are here for connection, and that is a huge piece of authentic relating. We need each other. We don't live in vacuums all alone. We are a pro-social species as humans. We need each other. We absolutely need to feel connection. We need to be seen and to be heard and to share ourselves. So we're going to be doing that in a breakout room. So if you could create tech team, I'm thinking groups of 3 or 4, that would work. So in just a few minutes, we'll be moving into a breakout room. And what I would love for you to share is just kind of a freestyle, and we're going to go around each person in the group. So everyone's going to take a turn, and you can keep flowing it around. Yeah.
I think some people were already added to the group a little too early, so maybe we're gonna have to bring them. Maybe let's bring them back, and then we'll do.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
Yeah, let's do that.
I was ready to do it and sent them as soon as you said let's send them to it. So I'll bring everybody back.
Okay, yeah, no worries. No worries.
Everyone knows what to do. It'll be.
Yeah.
But still, it'll take. We'll set to 2 minutes. So.
Or wait.
Okay, welcome back, guys. I think everyone might be back. I think some people had left a bit.
Oh no, we
early.
have we only have 10 people, so I think we need to bring like 20 to 30 more people back. What's the timer set for?
It was set to 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. I think a lot of people are.
Okay, and
like,
what are we doing? Didn't hear that.
Thank you guys for coming back.
If you're coming back into the room, I'll give you some directions for your group first, and then we'll go into the breakout room. We're going to wait for a few more people to join us who are still off in breakout rooms.
That was funny. We were like, what? Wait, with no prompts.
Yeah, you're like, let's just get in there. Let's see what happens. Don't worry, you will be going back to your group. No worries. All right, I think we still have a few more who are out. And Chelsea, just let me know if you see everybody back.
Yes, I think we still have about, I don't know, 10 people, but that's okay. We
Okay.
can, yeah, there's still 50 seconds, but yeah, we can maybe start the share and then.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to what that group's talking about. Maybe they can let us know what they're coming up with. I love it. Organic sharing. That's good too. Okay. So as everybody's trickling back in, you're going to be going in just a moment, not yet. You'll be going into a breakout room. And when you're in your breakout room, you can just take a moment. So the first few seconds, what I would love for you to do is just kind of look at each other. So this might seem a little strange because you might want to jump in and immediately start talking. I invite you to pause and just look at each other and just notice how you feel being in a breakout room with a smaller group and knowing like you're seeing them, they're seeing you. How does that feel? Are you excited? Are you feeling apprehensive? Whatever it is, just notice what's going on inside your body, inside your head. So take a moment to do that. And then I think everybody is back now. We're all back. Very good. Okay. So when you go back in your group, the first thing you want to do is after you pause and you take a look at each other, whoever is ready to speak first, go ahead and answer the question. What do you think conscious leadership is? And I just want you to give a one sentence answer the first time. So I can say like, oh, for me, when I think of conscious leaders, I think of people leading from the heart, or I think of people who don't have a huge ego and really care about others. And I can just say whatever comes up when I think of conscious leadership. What does that mean to me? I'm going to say it in one line, and then I'm going to let the next person talk, and then the next and the next. You'll have about 3 or 4 people in your group. And then it can come back to me again. You're going to have about 2 minutes in your group. So you can kind of go around like you're going around in a circle, just one line at a time in a circle. Like, what is conscious leadership? What do I think of it? What do I think it is? What does it mean to me? So that's the topic right now. You're kind of freestyling, just sharing and revealing. You can say what you think it is, what you think it isn't. You can give examples from your personal life, but please do just one line at a time and really let everybody share and kind of flow it. So it's like a conversation in a circle. Are there any questions? So what is conscious leadership? What does that mean to you? All right. Now go to your breakout rooms. We'll see you back here in 2 minutes. We're back in the main room. I'm definitely very curious. We gave you a bit of bonus time there with your first breakout group. And I'm really curious about what was shared in your group. So if you could, here in the chat box, share a little bit of what was said. Maybe it's what you said or something that really stood out to you that one of your partners in the group shared. But what was shared that really stands out about conscious leadership? Was there like maybe all of you had something in common? You had a similar idea. Maybe you guys have really different ideas of what conscious leadership is. Maybe you have like, you all thought of the same person as a leader that you admire for conscious leadership. Whatever might have come up, go ahead and pop that in right now. Someone who leads with intuition. Yeah, hearing you, Gigi. New form of leadership. Yeah. So yeah, I want to hear what it means to you, what you think, or what your group was talking about in those minutes in that breakout room. I like that. Someone who lives by what they teach. Let me just see this. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, good. I like that. Someone who listens and carries out the needs of the people they serve, leading authentically, guided from the heart. I'm loving your answers. Yes to this form of leadership. I'm really excited about the timing of this talk today about conscious leadership, given what's happened in the past week. So obviously there's been a huge transition. I think a lot of you are in the States. Am I right? There's been a huge transition in the form of leadership. We're talking about a new president now. So out with the old, in with the new. And on top of that, it was also Martin Luther King Jr. Day this past week too. So I just feel like there's a special reason why this is popping up today. We are in 2021. We have a new president. We have a lot of other new things going on. And I really want to call on this idea of new leadership and conscious leadership. I'm loving your answers. I'm feeling really inspired. I love this idea of looking at people's strengths and working towards things together. So yeah, beautiful answers here. So we're going to keep moving with this energy here. And I think you probably just were talking maybe at first quite broadly about what conscious leadership is, maybe what it isn't, and maybe some examples popped up. As I just mentioned MLK a moment ago, I know some of you, if we're talking about presidents, you might be thinking about Biden or Trump. So there might be certain people that are coming up, that are coming to mind, political figures, religious figures, just, you might have some people popping up in your mind right now. So as you're following that thread, if it's there, I want to just invite us to kind of narrow in on that a little bit. So there can be a tendency when we start talking about leadership to kind of glorify leadership and almost disassociate from it a little bit. Like we think of like the very best leaders we've ever heard of or ever seen, the ones that are in the history books, the ones where we have those images because they're always in the media, even after, years after they've passed away. We can kind of have these huge ideas of who they are. And it can make us feel so far away from that in ourselves. Like, oh, who am I to do that? Like, I'm not a great public speaker. I'm not going to be able to, get on a stage and talk to millions that way. I'm not that persuasive or whatever it might be. So we can start to, pull away from us individually being those sorts of leaders, those conscious leaders, those heart-centered leaders. But leadership really does take different forms. And it happens not only on, the grand global scale, but it starts with you and the way you relate to your friends, the way you relate to your family and your community. If you're in an organization, you work for a charity or what you do for your work, that's where your leadership can come in every single day. So right now, I'd love for you to think about leaders that you've worked with. So these are people that you know personally. Who is the best leader that you've ever worked for or with? And if you want to, you can start journaling about this too, if you have a journal around, because this can be a really interesting practice to do that way. But who's the best leader you've ever worked for? So think about that person. Maybe you work with this person now, maybe it's someone from years ago, but just pull them to mind. And then ask yourself, what did they do or what did they say that really made them a good leader to you? Like what makes them stand out as a good leader to you? It could be like those little things that they did day to day. Like they took that time to personally check in with you, even though they were really busy running an entire organization, but they really brought in, that personal care and that warmth. And maybe they did that by checking in, asking about your family and remembering your kids' names or something. But whatever it is, think about what makes that person stand out to you. What did they do? What did they say? So you can jot down a few of those qualities. And this is a self-revealing practice. So we're doing the self-reflection, the self-revealing practice, because really what this is showing you are values that you deem as good, as positive when it comes to conscious leadership. So you want to have those written down. Those are things that you can live by and ascribe to. And I'm hearing some audio. I'm not sure if that's Chelsea talking. Maybe, nope, okay. And then after you've written down this person and what they did and said that really makes them stand out as a positive, conscious leader to you, the next step is for you to ask yourself, how good am I at that? So that thing that they did or those things that they said, how good are you at doing that? And that might be, and obviously it might be in a different place. Like maybe if this was your boss and they're managing a huge company, maybe it doesn't apply directly to you, but the skills can apply directly to you. Like, do I act on that quality? Do I embody that? Do I extend that level of leadership and care in those specific ways that I admire? And this is a time to be honest with yourself, not to be overly critical, but to be honest. Do I really embody these qualities? Do I do it daily or just sometimes? Is it an area I could work on a bit? And I invite you, if you feel comfortable, to share some of your answers in the chat box, if you're open to that, especially when it comes to the qualities that you saw and the example that you saw this person displaying, because that can really inspire us here as we read them. And there might be things that we want to bring into our repertoire as well, of conscious leadership and conscious relating. And there's one next step of this practice. Again, you can write this in your journal. So at this point, I want you to think about the worst leader you've ever seen. Now, I know some of you might be thinking globally or presidential people, perhaps, I don't know, but try to think of someone you know personally, someone that you directly work with. So who was that worst leader that you ever experienced? Just pull that person to mind. And then I want you to write down again, what did they do or say that makes you think they're the worst leader? Like, what were they lacking? Were they yelling at people? Were they hiding information from you? Did they lie to people in the organization? Were they really greedy? Whatever it is, think of someone that you've worked with, that you know directly, where you've experienced something that you deem like negative leadership, poor leadership, and write down those qualities, what they did, what they said. And the last point of that one is to ask yourself honestly, do I do that too sometimes? Do I sometimes act like that? Do I sometimes say those things too? Just to be honest with yourself, checking in on that worst leader, what they did and said, and if you ever do the same. And again, it's not to bring yourself down, it's just to give yourself some honest feedback. And often this exercise can really bring a sense of compassion. Maybe you can actually start to understand, oh, maybe they were the worst leader, but sometimes I'm at my worst too. And then it can also bring a sense of possibility, like, oh, they were the best leader I've ever experienced. And I actually have a lot of those same qualities. I can do it too. And just notice what's coming up for you as you're writing about these leaders, the best and the worst you've experienced, and how you reflect. And if you and when you embody the best and worst. And after you've written in your journal, if you'd like to share any of that with the group, that can also be really helpful for us to hear and see. So I'm seeing lacking empathy, lacking compassion, dividing people. Yeah, that's definitely weakening. I would also agree that would be a form of poor leadership. So you're welcome to put this in the chat box and share. And take about 1 more minute to write in your journal and to share here in the chat. Ooh, lots of good answers coming in. Someone who intentionally sets out to make people feel bad and belittle people, to make an example of them. Someone who takes no ownership. People cutting people off, they're being reactive and authentic. Someone who loses their temper. Yeah. Lacking empathy. Dividing people, blaming. These are so good. Really good. Thank you for sharing that. And you can keep going. If you haven't yet put them in the chat box, you're welcome to do that. And otherwise, I invite you to just take a pause here. If you have completed your writing, to take the next, let's say 20 seconds, just to pause, and you can close your eyes. And this is a connection to self moment. If you want to close your eyes to do this, you're invited to. This is where you tune in with yourself, how you're feeling in this moment. Maybe integrate some of what you were just writing about. Notice how you feel about what you were just writing about, what's going on inside you, what's alive. Take about 10 more seconds to do that. And then take a deep breath in and let it out. Whew. You're always welcome to shake and move the energy if that helps you do what your body wants to do. Whew. All right. So I'm going to invite all of us for this next segment. I invite you to stand up if you can. So if you could come to a standing position for this next exercise, we're going to have a little movement involved here. So you can adjust your cameras as necessary. Okay, on that one. All right, I'm just checking. So you can come to a standing position. I'm going to do a little embodied practice, embodied leadership here. Okay, so go ahead and stand up if it feels comfortable and you have the space to do so. If not, even if you're seated, I still invite you to physically move with this next practice. Okay, so we're going to be exploring this kind of this axis of leadership. And some of these qualities I'm going to name are kind of on the spectrum of the positive, and some are more toward the negative. So you'll start to see and feel as we move through this where you are on the axis, where these qualities are on the axis, the positive to negative. So I'm going to start with a word. And I want you at first, if you can even turn your audio on for this one. I'd love to hear your voices. I would love to hear, I'm going to say a word. I would love you to share some synonyms, like what else comes to mind when I say the word dignity?
Ooh.
What do you think of? Dignity.
Respect.
Respect, yeah.
A long neck.
Ooh, a long neck. Dignity, like maybe like your head is held high, kind of?
Yeah, and like a swan. It's kind of,
Oh.
I think.
Integrity.
Integrity. Yeah, and if you don't have your audio on, you can always put it in the chat box. I see the word empowered.
Wholesomeness.
Yeah. Good.
Taking ownership and responsibility.
Ownership. Good. Responsibility. Yeah. Good. So those are all in the pride is in there too. So that's all in the dignity category. So now that you're standing, I would invite each of us to really display dignity in your body. If you were feeling dignified, you're in integrity, you're feeling respect, how would you stand? What would your body, how would your body be? Just notice what happens in your body as you think of and feel dignity. So I'm just taking a look around, and I invite you to stay in that posture and to look at each other on the screen here and see if your posture looks like anyone else's posture. I'm seeing what looks like a lot of people standing, like someone says here, in mountain pose. So I'm seeing like straight, tall spine. I'm seeing some people with their arms by their sides, some on their hips. There's a look that it looks strong but relaxed. It looks confident as I'm looking at you. It looks like you guys are self-assured. So I'm just taking a look, and you're invited to do that as well. If you can see each other. Yes, good. Now we're gonna switch over. What are some synonyms for the word? The word is posturing. And by posturing, I mean this sense of puffing up. to look bigger than you actually are. So if you're posturing, you're puffing yourself up, what are some synonyms for that? I'm seeing pointed fingers, ego, insecure, inauthentic, arrogant, macho. I think about wearing a mask, like it doesn't feel real, fake. Someone said fake, defensive, right? Unaware, boastful, over promoting, ostentatious, superior. Great. These are amazing synonyms. Now embody that. What would that feel like in your body if you're acting like you're posturing? You have that big ego. Maybe you're feeling defensive. I notice my hands go on my hips and I feel kind of like harder in my body. Like I'm trying to like flex to like look like I'm strong and tough. I'm seeing arms crossed. I'm seeing pointed fingers. I'm seeing some faces that look like I'm the shit and I know it. I'm better than you. Yeah. It looks harder than the last posture. I'm seeing some people try not to laugh and smirk for sure. Good. Just notice what it feels like when you take on that. What's happening in your body? Not only what does it look like, but how does it feel? Like it feels really tense for me. I feel really tight when I do that. All right, good. We got a couple more. So the next word is humility. So what are some synonyms for humble or humility?
Vulnerable, authentic.
Vulnerable, authentic.
Present.
Present. I see patient. Someone wrote patient.
Humble.
Honest, soft and open and humble. Good. Serving. I love that.
Ready to receive.
Ready to receive. And if you were to embody this, I see accepting here, acceptance. If you were to embody humility, what would that look like and feel like? Go ahead and let your body come into that space right now. Humility. See how your body stands, how it feels to be in this posture, feeling humble, serving, honest, surrendered, giving, in humility. And if you'd like, you can look around at your screen and see the way others are standing. I'm seeing hands on the hearts. I'm seeing soft faces. I'm seeing palms open and even outstretched. What looks like you're very open, very giving, willing to receive as well. Hand on the heart and the belly. Soft, gentle smiles on your faces. Beautiful. Aww. This feels so welcoming. I love seeing this. That's so beautiful. And take a deep breath in and let it out. We have one final one to move through. This is called collapse. This is really the opposite of posturing and being in dignity. This is collapse. Think of when you feel shattered, you feel broken down. You don't have a backbone. What are some synonyms for collapse? Some other words that come to mind. If you're in a state of collapse. Shame, yeah. Feeling defeated, good. Yeah. Hopelessness, yeah.
Suffering.
Good. Yeah, disempowered, you feel low. Good. And if you embody this, you're also overwhelmed. Good. If you're embodying that state of collapse, what does that look like and feel like in your body? Just take a moment to let your body get into that position, state of collapse, not feeling supported, feeling defeated, maybe some shame and hopelessness. What does that feel like? What does that look like in you? You're feeling crushed, yeah. And you're invited to look at the screen and look at each other. I'm seeing a lot of heads hanging, looking down, not making eye contact, crossed arms, shoulders rounded forward, covering the face, covering the body. It's almost like guarding the heart and covering it, like hiding. It looks like hiding. Yeah. Good. And just for a final one, I invite you to take a deep breath in and out. And we're just going to do a lightning round. And we're going to go through all of them just one more time at a faster pace. So one more time, if you move into the feeling of humility and feeling humble, and let your body come into that. Good. Moving into posturing. What does that feel like? Moving into collapse. And lastly, moving into dignity. Good. I invite you to take a deep breath, shake it out, move your bodies. And then you are welcome to come back and sit. And join us back in the group in a seated position. So we've just gone through the full spectrum. In authentic relating, we use this spectrum to help us identify ourselves when we are in any one of these 4 states. This is really helpful when it comes to leadership. Can you imagine going, maybe on stage or in front of your group that you're leading, how different it would look, how different the people would respond to you if you were in one of these states? If you're in collapse, how do people respond to you? How do you feel? If you're in a state of posture, what do you look like? How do you feel? How are you acting and fronting? And how are your people responding to you? Versus if you're in a state of both dignity and humility, how are you standing? How are you holding yourself? How are you speaking? How are you leading? So we invite you at any time, I invite you to just check in with yourself and notice throughout your day in any of your relationships, even if it's not formal leadership, just notice, am I in a state of posturing right here? Am I kind of acting like a know-it-all? Am I in a state of collapse? Am I really backing away and kind of dimming myself and shutting down? Just noticing when that happens. And then also catching it when you're in a state where you're feeling really dignified and humble and letting, maybe that opens your heart and you're able to shine more of your heart and soul through and reveal more of who you are and lead more in that sense from your heart. So the invitation is just to play with this. Notice when it's happening in your body. Notice when it's happening with your speech. We have just a few more minutes, so I'd love for us to go into breakout rooms first, and then we'll come back and close in the main group. So this will be just a short share for about 2 minutes with your breakout group. And I would love for you to talk about how this practice was for you. What came up for you? What did it feel like? Anything that you really want to share, what you feel excited to get out and share with the group? Okay, just saying. Okay, got it. I was just checking the note at the bottom. But yeah, so you'll have about 2 minutes. And again, just take a few moments to share what was coming up for you, how it felt to do this practice, or also how you might want to apply this to your relationships and your own leadership. So take a couple minutes with your group and share, and then we'll come back and close all together. Hey, welcome back to our main room. So you were just in your breakout room sharing how that was for you. And I have to say, I'm just sitting here so eager and so curious. And I would really love to hear from a few of you about how this was for you. How did it go? How did it feel? So when you were moving through that dignity, the humility, the posture collapse, what was going on for you? And if you apply that to your life, what are you starting to think of? What are you starting to see in yourself or in leadership? Whatever is coming up for you, I'm just sitting here I want to know. So if you feel courageous enough to unmute yourself and share, I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure others in the group would as well. So I'm seeing some in the chat box here, but someone had some really good insights. So if you'd like to share those insights with the big group, you're completely invited and welcome to. So how was this for you? What's coming up for you around this conscious leadership practice, this embodied practice?
I'll jump in. I think
Please
that
do.
my big takeaway on this one, Stephanie, is like a daily tool that I can actually just sort of check in with myself and where am I emotionally and what's my body saying? Because our words are only 20% of what we communicate.
Amazing. I love that, Michael. Thank you for sharing it. And that really is key. And it even takes us back to that very first practice of authentic relating, where we tune in with ourselves. We tune in with what's happening in me, what's happening in my body. Our bodies really reveal so much of what's happening. And like you said, Michael, it's like our words might only be 20%, but body language is conveying so much. Our energy field is conveying so much. So if we can be in tune with ourselves that way and really notice like, ooh, I'm going into collapse. I'm getting tight. My shoulders are rolling forward. What's happening in me? Ooh, what do I need? How can I take care of myself right now? I can do that for me. And then I can be in the place I really want to be more often, which is in dignity and humility, and share that with other people and have that kind of compassion and care for myself, and then extend that to others. So I love that you brought that in, Michael. Thank you. And I did see, yeah, and I'm seeing some wiggly fingers. Some of you know, Michael knows, I think Narissa knows, that if you resonate with what anyone is sharing in here, you can just wiggle your fingers kind of like piano fingers. And this is a nonverbal way to say, I hear you, I resonate with you, I feel you, and you can do that at any time just to show your resonance. I think Narissa had nominated someone from her group if she wanted to share.
I could say it if she isn't present. Or
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if she is, Vivian. Well, she was just describing that your whole being can then become that emotion that you're putting your body into, so that your presence, your posture, but whatever it is that like can bring you into the emotion. So that was just something she noticed. Oh, okay. That I feel like can also be like a tool, like if your mind is telling you something else, but you can push your body to come into that confidence or that wholeness or listeningness, then your rest of your being will like follow suit.
Yeah, I love that idea. Again, it's like bringing it back into the embodied level, which is so powerful. And I think it's, yeah, like we can definitely tune in and notice what our body is already doing. And then we also have that conscious choice, the choice point of like, ooh, do I want to go fully into collapse right now? Does that really serve me to do that? Or can I maybe do something different in my body so that I don't fully go into the emotional state of collapse? So I like the idea of being able to kind of make that conscious choice and care and, extend that care to yourself in that way too. I just had this come up right now, but for any of you who do lead groups or public speaking and need to be in front of a group, I want to extend not only the embodiment of dignity and humility, but also just there's a power pose. Some of you might know it. But it's really simple, but all you do is you stand with your feet about hip width apart or so, or a little bit more. And you put your arms just like up and overhead, almost like in a V shape like this. And you just stand like this. It can be 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You just stand like that. The energy starts to run and course through your entire body. And it naturally puts you into this, they call it like a hero stance. And it just really elevates your energy, and you will start feeling really empowered, really confident, and really secure. I know I teach this to my clients, and a lot of my clients are entrepreneurs and business owners. And before they go in to pitch like their new startup, they'll go into the bathroom and they'll take a power stance and like do some breath work and be like, okay. And then they go into that meeting feeling really confident, really dignified in their humility, in their purpose, and really ready to just be themselves and close that deal. So I like extend that to you, try that out, see how that feels. The embodiment aspect really helps. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Are there any more? I just want to make sure any other people who want to share. It can be around the dignity and humility portion. It could be around where you're seeing this in your own leadership. in the leadership around you in your community or your country. Anything around conscious leadership that came up that you shared in the previous small group about what conscious leadership is to you. But we want to open it here in the group space so that we can all hear and benefit from what you're experiencing and how you feel about this. So the floor is open right now to hear more around your thoughts and feelings on conscious leadership, what it is, what it isn't, what's needed, how you embody it, anything like that.
I think we've got Gigi.
Let's hear Gigi.
So personal experience on both from the leadership side as well as being, someone part of a team, I've noticed that when it comes to what you said with body language and conveying personal feelings with your body, it's very important to know how to read a room. And when it comes to being able to see what the people are doing in order to figure out how to respond better, when it comes to certain ways to talk to, such as, your team members, or other leaders, and figuring out how best to be more conscious and relate to them. So that's one thing I've definitely been more aware of, especially as of lately with doing these exercises, but knowing how
Hey,
to
Gigi, could you speak up? It's very hard to hear you.
Can you hear me now? Anything?
Yeah, we hear you. I think the volume is just quite soft and low.
What about now? Is that better? Any better?
It's getting better.
Thank you.
But knowing how to read a room makes things seem more relatable for you as a leader, as well as being able to know how to respond best to the people that you are relating to, especially when it comes to body language. So that's one thing.
Oh, I love that, Gigi. Thank you. I'm just thinking too, hearing you say that, like knowing how to read a room, knowing how to read like that room's body language, the way people are responding to you or to what's happening is really important when it comes to leading. You need to know how people are feeling, how they're receiving what's being said or done. And I was just thinking, as you said that, Gigi, how really knowing how to do that with yourself first is a huge opener for you to be able to do that with other people. If you can track that within yourself and start to do that so consistently, it opens up a lot more space and understanding for you to do that for other people. And I mean us generally, not just you, Gigi, but for all of us to be able to do that for others as well. So it's a great place to start with yourself and notice where you're doing this. And then, start to extend that to the other people you're relating to or talking to, and notice if you can pick up those cues of like, oh, they're in posture, or, oh, I think that they're feeling XYZ. And then you can also respond in kind to that. Yeah, thank you. All right. And if there are any others, we do have time. We can do one more practice, but let's hear at least from one more, if not two more people about what you're feeling, what came up for you in terms of conscious relating, conscious leadership so far. And again, this can go back to the first breakout room and even that journaling exercise you did where you wrote about the best leadership, the best leader you've worked with and what they did or what they said. You're invited right now as well to talk back about that.
I'd like to make a little comment on that. You know, one thing I noticed, at least for me in my experience, is when I was writing down the qualities of bad leadership, I noticed that those were almost the exact qualities that I hold when I'm in my like shadow aspects. And it was almost like, I'm sure there's like a lot of qualities of bad leadership, but I specifically noticed the ones that I held inside of me. And I was like, that's interesting. So it was like pointing me to where I feel like I need to work on my own leadership.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for being so honest and revealing that. And I want you to know you're not alone in that. I'd say 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what comes up. 9 times out of 10, when people do this exercise and they write about the worst leaders' qualities, it's actually what they don't like about themselves, or it's their own shadow qualities. And it's just a way for us to get that feedback, to give it to ourselves and go, oh, actually, I could work on that a bit. I could be better at that myself. So it's just a way for us to see that. It's like a mirror pointing back to us a little bit. So thank you for voicing that so much and being so real. Yeah, I appreciate that. Really good. All right, if there's
I'd like to just quickly say something too. Over the years, I've had lots of people who work with me, for me, assistants, interns, and things like this over the years. And sometimes they come back and they'll tell me something about their experience if I see them years later. And I think sometimes it's so easy to take for granted that you're just like busy or worried about something and you don't realize the effect that you're having on a younger person who's just learning and coming into the work experience for the first time. And you're just in your world because you've been doing this for 20 years. And I just, sometimes it really takes my breath away that I had such an impact on somebody or could have such an impact on someone. And you really have to watch yourself because that programming is just, as you said, Chelsea, will later come up. And I think, I think it's so important to realize that our own power that way. And also, thank you so much. I have to run, but I've loved this. So thank you. And thank you to
Natasha.
I had to take my fire.
Thanks for having that on here too. Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, I really like what Natasha just shared, and I can really see her her compassion and care for even the past people that worked with her. So thank you for voicing that, and I see your leadership coming through in what you just shared. Thank you so much. And we do have time. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought that was very powerful too, Natasha, that you actually had, it seemed like a very positive effect in your memory of that experience. And, you know, and I looked at myself and Chelsea, like you had spoken to some of your shadow aspects and so forth. And when I wrote down in the exercise where I wrote down the worst boss, I can unequivocally say I don't do those things. And then on the other side of it, the best person, the best, boss that I work with currently, and I do those things that that he did. And I was really surprised that somebody who could be that possibly busy in the first place would respond, back to me in, 30 minutes afterwards. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah. And Michael, I'm curious, you mentioned the best boss that you've ever worked with. You work with him right now. And I'm just wondering if you could share what makes him the best. How is he better than the other?
Can. Yes. The thing that makes him the best is that quality about why he would answer my email suggestion in 30 minutes. He has empathy and great respect for the organization, of the people that he leads. And the organization is the box that holds the people. And yes, the people are the organization, but I guess the best thing about him is his focus to all of us that work together, and we're all just treated as important teammates on this very incredibly large team. And yet it has such a personalizing aspect of the culture that he's worked hard, and many people have worked hard to develop. And so it's an incredible container where I work. I got to say, I've always envisioned something like that, but I've never actually experienced it until I'm where I am.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that you're getting the experience of having that sort of container. And it sounds like your boss is really aware of that container, just like how right here in this Emergence Festival and this group right here, we have our energetic field, the collective field. It sounds like your boss is aware of that in terms of the organization. It's like a living entity.
Yeah.
And you want to also serve the organization, serve that group. And then in doing so, you serve the people and their needs in it. So yeah, really well done to your boss. I'm glad that you're receiving benefits from that. Thank you for sharing, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie.
We can take one more, someone who maybe hasn't shared yet. If there is someone, let's just give a moment. If there is one more person who might want to share.
I'd like to share.
Please.
Well, I wasn't in any of the breakout rooms, but I do practice a lot of authentic relating. I'm a part of a group of people that meet every bi-weekly. And the one takeaway for me is how people can be like drop into their bodies and be very much like there's active listening happening where they're letting go of what they want to say next as a reply, but they're just being with you and listening. And I think that is a very powerful quality for a leader to really take care of their employees or whoever they're leading, and just listen.
I love that you said that. And I can't see you here. What's your name?
Oh, hi, this is Melanie.
Melanie. Thank you, Melanie. I love that you brought that up, and I absolutely am with you. That is a huge skill, deep listening, real listening, and it's a huge practice when it comes to authentic relating, which, you know, if you're doing this, you know, bi-weekly, it's amazing that you're doing that. In a lot of the other workshops I've done for past festivals, like the Corona festivals, we did a huge section around listening and really like, what does it mean to be a full body listener, to really fully take in somebody's words without just sitting there thinking of like, what am I going to say next? Is it my turn? I want to jump in. But how can you just lean back, fully receive everything that that person's sharing, not only their words, but their body language and their energy signature and everything, and really let yourself receive that so fully, and really practicing that deep full body listening. That is so key. And I think you're really onto something. You're really right when you're saying we need leaders who can listen that way. And that actually brings up when I was watching all of you doing the humility embodiment today. And a lot of you seem to be embodying, when you did the humility, a lot of you had like palms open. It almost was like you were leaning back, your hearts were open, and it had like this feeling of listening, this feeling of receiving. And I think that embodying that humility would come through in terms of like that deep full body listening, which is key for conscious leadership. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Melanie. I love that. It's so good. And if there is anyone else who hasn't yet shared, I would love to hear your voice here as well. No pressure, but it'd be great to hear you. So we'll have one more spot if there is someone. We'll just pause and let you come in and share your voice with us if you'd like.
Hey everyone, I joined really late. I just thought I'd say hi. I enjoyed listening to everybody's shares and everyone opening up. So thanks.
Thanks for being here, and good to hear your voice. And I agree with you. It was really good to hear everybody's shares. Part of it is like being in breakout rooms. I don't get to hear all of you, and in this big room, all of us together, it's so nice for us to share our voices. So thank you too for sharing yours. We're going to go into one more breakout room briefly. If we could do this room, I think the number of participants might have shifted. So I'm going to ask the tech team. The group can be anywhere from minimum 3 people, but maybe more than that would be good. If it's like 5 people, even 6 people, that would work. So I'm not sure if everyone is active on their video here. So in this last breakout room, we're just going to have a few minutes where you can share a couple things. It's your choice. It's anything that you feel like is burning that you just kind of like need to like get out and get off your chest in terms of what came through for you today. So if you felt too shy to share in the big group, or you didn't get a chance to, but you really had something that feels alive, this is a chance for you to come out and share it. So you could do that there. The other option is to share what you're walking away with. What did you learn from today? How can you apply it to your relationships, to your life? You know, what did it do for you? How do you feel about what you learned? So you can choose what you want to answer, but just do that. Maybe say a couple lines of what you're walking away with or what you really want to share, and then move on to the next person. So you'll go around at least once. You can go around a couple times if you have extra time. So you have a few minutes in your group. And I'm thinking, tech team, does that work for breakout rooms? Thank you so much for being here today. I would love if you could share in the chat box some of what you might have just shared in your breakout room. So I would love to hear, what did you get from today? What are some of your takeaways? What are you leaving here with in terms of conscious relating and conscious leadership? Do you feel like there's something that you can apply to you, your life, your relationships when you're walking away? Please put that in the chat box. I want to hear how this lands with you, how you're feeling about it. Yeah, so that's open right now. Please put that in the chat box. And I also wanted to share with you, I have a free quiz called What's Your Relating Style? And in this quiz, it really breaks down your relational style. And this is in terms of relationships and leadership style. And it breaks down your strengths and your weaknesses. And then it gives you some tips about what to do to improve those weaknesses. So if you want that quiz, I know that the Emergence team has the link for that. We can put that out here. It's a free quiz. So you can take that and learn a little bit more about your relationship style, get that feedback about your strengths and weaknesses and what to do from there. And I think that's right here in the chat box too. So that is there for you. And I also have an upcoming program called Relationship Revolution. It's how to be a better lover and a better leader. And that's coming up in just a few weeks. So if you are interested in using authentic relating in your relationships and in your leadership, send me a message. And if you've been here part of this festival and you've experienced this workshop today and you're interested in that program, I will give you a discount. So please just send me a direct message of interest so I can mark you down for that. And thank you so much for being here. I'm just checking the chat box to see how this was for you today, what you've got from this experience. Is there something you feel inspired by when it comes to conscious relating? And I'm hearing someone talk, but I can't see who it is. I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this workshop today. Thank you to each and every one of you for showing up and for sharing and being part of this interactive workshop. And also thank you so much to the Emergence team for creating this. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the tech support. I appreciate you guys so much. And it's been a pleasure to share something that I absolutely love and feel so passionately about. So thank you for being here and connecting with me and connecting with each other. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Can everybody take themselves off mute? Rub your hands together. Ilakesh Alakan.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So good, Stephanie. Guys, I don't know about you, but I feel like we all needed that. We were sitting, we heard so many talks. It was time to just deeply connect. So on that note, we have